We'll talk specifically about Marvin Harrison Jr. a little bit, though. I imagine he's going to come up in this conversation too.
Okay.
It was from a power ranking. Don't really care about the number. I never.
You read the fine line.
I read.
You read like nobody reads the fine line anywhere.
I looked beyond the number. Gambo.
I can't believe you did. So, just an example. I've had the problem with my ear. I had the MRI. I had like an MRI in my brain. So I go in there and like, okay, we got to put this catheter thing in you, this plastic thing in your arm. I'm like, I don't want that. I'm not doing that. But like, you signed for it. I'm like, where? They go, you signed for it. You didn't read the fine line.
Fine print.
You didn't read the fine print on the bottom. You signed for us to inject this plastic thing in your arm and shoot this dye up into your brain. So I was like, all right, I guess so. I didn't want to do it, but I did it. And you read the fine line on Drew Petzing.
Read the fine print, my friend.
Just signed it.
So it was a power ranking. Again, we don't care about the number. And so they had the Arizona Cardinals where they had him. And just a little blurb they wrote. Drew Petzing isn't the offensive coordinator I thought he was. That was the blurb they wrote about the Cardinals in their power ranking. And then they go on to write, this is on The Ringer. Actually, theringer.com, in which they write, I'm echoing old sentiments, but this offense is much more functional when Kyler is an effective runner and scrambler. The passing game is my major point of concern, though. This is the second time Kyler Murray has finished a game with less than 150 passing yards, and there isn't as much natural synergy among the receiving core as you'd like, something that you were bringing up quite a bit yesterday. I'm sure the youth of the skill position group is part of the problem, but this division is open for Arizona's taking if it can get things together. I just haven't seen it yet. And I sent you a screenshot of this with a big red arrow pointed to the Drew Petzing isn't the offensive coordinator I thought he was.
I'm impressed you know how to put an arrow on an email. I do not know how to do that. I have no idea how to put an arrow on an email.
Gambo, I got skills. So let's talk about this.
Yes.
Drew Petzing.
Okay.
Is the heat on? Is he under a certain amount of scrutiny here? What do we think about the job?
So the Cardinals have now been held to 17 or fewer points in 4 of their past 5 games. Okay? And I'm here to tell you that it's not Drew Petzing's fault. That this offense that he is running, these plays and the schemes and everything look great. That if you want to put the blame on somebody, put the blame on Kyler Murray. He's missing a lot. We're back to Kyler Murray not being able to read and seeing. I went through game tape of this last game against the Chargers, a lot over the last 24 hours. And there is a lot of missed plays. But he's just not making. Looks and then goes off his guy way too soon. Then the guy makes a cut and he's wide open and he's already on to the check down. There it is. The guy's running a 10-yard pattern. He's going to cut inside. And by the time he runs to 10 yards, Kyler's looking off of him. And then he cuts and he's wide open. Drew Petzing's offense has scored 17 or fewer points in 4 of the past 5 games. I get it. And you could blame him and say it's Drew Petzing. I don't care who the offensive coordinator is. Murray's got to do a better job of reading defenses. Murray's got to do a better job of hanging in there and making the read pre-snap and getting the ball to the guys. Guys are wide open on plays. There are guys that are open on every single play. He's not making the right decisions on a lot of the plays, a lot of them. So to me, I don't think it's a Drew Petzing thing. I think it's a Kyler Murray thing.
Here's what Drew Petzing said about when he was asked yesterday, this was late yesterday, how he thought Kyler operated against the Chargers.
I think it's a couple different things. One, it's just kind of the tempo and flow in and out of the huddle. We sub a lot of personnels. We're in a lot of different formations, motions, cadences. I think he did a really nice job of handling that, and I think it allows our offense to be effective. I think then the second piece of that is what happens after the snap in terms of taking care of the football, trying to eliminate negative plays, get us out of some bad situations, which I thought he did a really nice job of. So was very pleased with it.
It's an interesting take on Kyler, and I'll say this about Kyler. Say what you want about the offense and the yards. He has been very good about taking care of the ball. He's been very, very good about taking care of the ball. The one interception he had against the Chargers, yes, but it's been that of all the issues of the Cardinals offense, that has not been the issue for Kyler Murray, right? He's not throwing the ball to the wrong guy most of the time.
Well, no, the intended air yards have shrunk. It's more in line with what a conservative offense would be, where you're targeting the running back out of the backfield in the flat, or you're targeting the tight end a lot. It's why in the last 2 weeks, the leading receiver, the number 1 and number 2 leading receiver on the Cardinals were tight ends and running backs, not wide receivers. There are plays that are there. There are plays that are open. There are wide receivers that are open. But he doesn't stay with the play long enough, and he reverts back to, let me check it down to James Conner. Let me go to Trey McBride. It's a safety blanket right there. So
and
I think
sometimes it's okay to check it down to James Conner. They won the game because he checked it
it's a
down to James
33-yard
Conner.
play. Yeah.
Right? I mean, that
but there's
was,
also we thought this offense was going like, okay, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah,
and check down
I
just
understand
fine.
what you're saying. There's
This offense is not the juggernaut we thought it would be.
No, not even
It
close.
is not. And,
close.
we're sitting there, we're looking at the wide receivers and the lack of there's been one wide receiver that's had 100 yards in a game. And that was Marvin Harrison Jr., and he did it all in the first quarter of a football game. After that, you're not getting much production out of your wide receivers. But when you go and you look at game tape, you're going to see the wide receivers are open. You're going to see the wide receivers are running good routes. They're open. The concepts are good. The schemes are good. I'm not going to blame Petzing for this.
You'll have to forgive me for thinking like a Cardinals fan here, but if I'm a Cardinals fan listening to this conversation, this is not what I want to hear. And you know why this is not what I want to hear? Because I want to hear that it's not Kyler's fault. I want to hear that Kyler Murray is the quarterback of my future. I want to hear that Kyler Murray is going to be the answer to my problems at quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals. And while we would all, I hope, would agree that it's all still very much a work in progress, we're getting impatient. We want to see some results. We also know that offensive coordinators are far, far more replaceable than quarterbacks are, right? Like it's a far, far more replaceable. What you want to hear if you're a Cardinals fan, maybe want is a strong word, but what you're kind of leaning towards is, hey, tell me a different offensive coordinator would get a different result. Tell me a different offensive coordinator would get what I want to see out of my quarterback. And if it really is Kyler week in and week out, that's a far more complicated proposition.
Kyler Murray has one touchdown pass in every single game this season except for one. He has not exceeded one touchdown pass in a game except for once against Buffalo. One touchdown pass in every game. Now, he has this ability to run that's second to none, and we love it. And he's,
wish he did it more, to be honest. I wish he did it more.
I wish he would. I wish you'd be able to read plays better and hang in there, and instead of going to the check down, wait a second and find the guy. I think he's making. There's 5 decisions that you could make, and one is the right answer. And 4 may not be, but there's always like one right answer. And if you go look at the plays, the amount of times he gets the right answer is minimal. It's just minimal. It's not enough. He needs to hit the right answer on these plays more often.
Thanks for watching Burns and Gambo. Click to see more from the guys and hit the button in the middle to subscribe so you never miss a video from Arizona sports.